Hello, this is Guillermo Figueroa, and it will be my pleasure and honor to be both violin soloist and conductor for this concert with the Buffalo Philharmonic. We begin our program with a violin concerto called Ínsula Tropical by composer Ernesto Cordero. Ernesto is one of the foremost composers from Puerto Rico, where I'm also from, and one of the most important contemporary composers for the guitar. A dear friend of mine, the concerto you'll hear tonight, was written for and dedicated to me. It's actually a hybrid concerto, as I put it together from two different works of Ernesto, taking two movements from each, with the composer's approval, of course. The concerto depicts various aspects of the island's landscapes and moods. The first movement is called Yerba Bruja, or Witch's Herb. The second movement, Jájome, depicts a beautiful and tranquil spot in the island's central mountains. The third movement, Fantasía Salsera, is built upon the rhythms of salsa, that popular style of music. And the final movement, El colibrí, dorado, or the golden hummingbird, emulates in a fast moto perpetuo the quirky flight of that tiny little bird. This will be followed by another concerto, the first piano concerto of Dmitri Shostakovich. Actually, it's a double concerto for trumpet and orchestra, and it will be played tonight by the brilliant pianist Adam Golka and your own principal trumpet of the Buffalo Philharmonic, Alex Jokipii. Shostakovich was barely 27 years old in 1933 when he wrote this concerto, and he was also the soloist in the premiere. After a brief fanfare, the first movement begins quietly and lyrically, but soon erupts into a brilliant and propulsive mood with challenging writing for everyone. The lyrical mood returns to close out the movement, and in the second movement, we find a slow, melancholy pseudo-waltz, the tranquil melody on the violins almost evoking the famous Gymnopédie by the composer Erik Satie. After a thundering passage in octaves for the piano, the opening melody returns in the burnished muted tones of the trumpet. The short third movement for the piano alone serves as an introduction to the fourth, which is a wild, spirited romp with burlesque undertones and many quotations from folk music and from some of Shostakovich's own earlier works. The brilliant, almost slapstick ending pounds away obsessively at the key of C major. When Joan Fallera came as a guest conductor to my summer festival, Music in the Mountains in Durango, Colorado, 2 summers ago, she brought with her a lovely orchestral work called Fairy Tale by composer Joseph SUK, which she also recorded with the Buffalo Philharmonic. Knowing that she liked and admired this composer, I suggested that we end the concert tonight with the lovely String Serenade by Joseph SUK, and she readily agreed. SUK was a distinguished Czech composer and violinist, and once you listen to this work, if you notice certain similarities with Dvorak's own Serenade for Strings, which was played here earlier this season, you would not be wrong, as Dvorak was a mentor and teacher to the young SUK. Written in 1892, the Serenade was born out of Dvorak's insistence to SUK that he write something more cheerful, as his basic style was rather melancholic. The lovely and boisterous Serenade was SUK's felicitous response. Not only did SUK admire and emulate Dvorak, but he also married his daughter, so Dvorak became his father-in-law. The Serenade opens in an amiable and gentle mood with a motif based on a descending triad and a pervasively lyrical mood. This same triad also opens the second movement, a folksier but gentle waltz. The deeply felt and intense third movement is the heart of the work. Lush textures and shining harmonies prevail in this lovely and serene movement. At the end, two solo violins almost emulate birds flying off into the heavens. The finale is wild and joyous, racing out of the gate with energy and excitement. This is only interrupted briefly by a majestic return of the triad motif that opened the first movement, as if of a distant memory. This interruption does not last long, and the movement ends in a final, blazing and irresistible burst of speed and exuberance. I very much hope you enjoyed this presentation by your fabulous Buffalo Philharmonic. Thank you so much for your attention.